You're very welcome back to Sunday AM. Now, our next guest is best known for hits like Only a Woman's Heart and Sophie, to name just a few. With 14 albums under her belt and countless sales, the folk rocker has been on the road for 2 years with her show Naked Live, and this year became chairman of the music body IMRO.
It's the internationally acclaimed singer-songwriter Eleanor Mcevoy. Good morning, Eleanor.
How are you doing?
And
there it is in the background.
It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, it came out of nowhere. It's the Angels.
25 years.
25 years. We were talking about 25 years since the first text message. 25 years.
Saw that. I was
Since
amazed. Yeah, I was looking at the text message thinking, God, it happened around the same time.
same
It was a long time
time.
before I got to send a text message, I can tell you.
Similar to me,
Yeah.
but going back 25 years, and obviously now it's, I think, the best-selling album in Ireland of all time.
Yeah.
Obviously, you couldn't have predicted that.
Of course you couldn't. No, I mean, it was just a little project album we were going to do. You know, I'd been playing in Mary Black's band. She came to one of my gigs, heard the song, said, how would you like to duet on this for this album we're thinking of putting out? It was like, yeah, brilliant, you know, but it was...
It's another gig, you know,
yeah,
it's just another job.
Yeah, and it was then on to the next thing, so we'd no idea. But then gradually it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, it's been fantastic because it's enabled me to go on and do a whole lot of other things and work with amazing producers, fantastic musicians, and on to where I am now, so it's just fantastic.
Now, for the last 2 years, this is going to sound a lot stranger than I actually mean, but you've been touring naked, which is the name of the tour.
Yeah, it's called Naked Music, and the reason why we call it naked is just the music. So there's no smoke, no mirrors, no backing tracks, no drum kits, no orchestra. It's just complete, just me on a stage. So you've all the, like you've got my, you know, piano, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, violin, all the instruments around me, and I just go to each one. And I talk about the songs and I do it. So it's very, very stripped back. So that's why we called it Naked.
And is that why you have been touring for 2 years? It's just such an enjoyable tour to participate in.
Brilliant. I mean, obviously, it's also very movable. It's very easy because it's just one person. So you can go to, you know, the four corners of the globe literally without too much, you know, problems. And it's great. You know, when you're on your own, you don't even have to have a set list.
Yeah.
You know, you can do the songs in any order you want.
And do you change it up?
Oh, of course I do. Yeah, I do a different gig every night. And I might throw in, like, you know, an extra chorus into the song this particular night because I can. You know, so it depends on the sound, the mood of the room. You can really tune into the mood of the audience and make your gig suit the room you're in.
Simon would always say that as an actor as well.
It would change. Yeah, it would change night to night. It would, because you get that vibe 3 minutes in.
Yeah.
You know, you're in for a different show. But that's the beauty of going to live theatre anyway.
Absolutely.
In terms of the tour and the, you know, how did the idea of it come around? Who did you collaborate with to put that show together? Because there was a particular artist that you collaborated with for...
Well, yeah, for Naked Music, there was an artist, a man called Chris Gollin, and he saw one of my shows. I was a huge fan of his. I'd bought one of his paintings and started following him around a bit. And I met him at one of his exhibitions, and he came to my gig that night in Nottingham, and he stayed up after the gig, and he said, Eleanor, we have to work together. And I said, I'd love to work with you, but you paint and I sing. Yeah. So, you know, how exactly is that going to work? So he said, let me hear the album you're about to do, which was Naked Music. And he listened to it and he came back and he said, I want to do the cover. And I was thrilled to have a Chris Gollin painting on my cover. I was absolutely thrilled by the idea because he's, you know, quite successful. So he then came back and kept painting until he had 25 paintings. So we did an exhibition in London and it was called Naked Music, and it was all of his paintings just on the album, and I went and I played and it was just fantastic.
So he was inspired by your album to create these paintings?
He was inspired by the album, and it was funny because there was a song I'd written with Lloyd Cole called Dreaming of Leaving, and he painted a painting called Dreaming of Leaving inspired by the song Dreaming of Leaving that I'd written with Lloyd.
That's incredible.
Then I wrote a song inspired by his painting Dreaming of Leaving called Give Me Some Wine, which was inspired by the song. So then he did a whole other 23 paintings called Give Me Some Wine, a whole exhibition called Give Me Some Wine, which opened in Monmouth in Wales, and it was inspired by Give Me Some Wine, which was inspired by his painting Dreaming of Leaving, which was inspired by my song Dreaming of Leaving. So.
Creatively, you were so in sync.
It was great, and the plan was to go right through to next year and continue the collaboration because we really were enjoying it. But sadly, just about 2 days before the Give Me Some Wine exhibition, he took ill and he died about 8 weeks later.
Oh, that's terribly sad.
So it was so sad. It was devastating at the time. Yeah. But
his paintings live on.
His paintings live on, and his wife and his family said, look, you know, if you feel able, we'd love you to still keep doing this.
Which of course you will.
Which was the plan. So I did, but, you know, it was odd the first few nights, and I was, you know, you're yourself going on stage, you're like, God, what's this going to be like? And I just had to tell people, look, Chris is dead. This is where we are.
Grieving.
But then it was like an uplifting kind of thing, and it was remembering his paintings and his life, and it actually was cathartic. It was fantastic.
In terms of inspiration, someone else who's inspired you is Thomas More.
That's right, yeah.
Now, so much so,
Thomas More project. This came out in July.
It came out in July, and this was ready to go, but we were supposed to bring it out next year because I'm making a television documentary about Thomas More. Right. He's a poet. He's the one here, just in case.
He's the one on the left.
That's me there.
You're very harsh on yourself.
This is actually continuing the painting theme because this is a portrait, fantastic portrait by Robert Balla, that hangs in the National Constable. He did a lovely portrait. And then this is a Thomas More portrait by Martin Arthur Shee, which is in the National Gallery, and lovely portrait of Thomas More. So I was fascinated by him as a kid, but I never did anything to do with him, to be honest, because everybody thinks he's naff.
Okay.
Nobody likes Thomas More. He's unfashionable, he's unhip, he's uncool, and I've just done a whole album.
Au contraire, you say, because you were actually saying before we come on, he's the type of bloke that you'd like to go for a few babies with.
Okay.
He's a
What do you find out about him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to go on the jar with Lord Lansdowne. The two of them would be like, drinking the wine off in Bowood House, and they'd be having a great time. Like he was one of the first Catholics to go to Trinity College in Dublin. He grew up in Ainger Street in Dublin. Like, we should have monuments to this guy. We should be lauding him and screaming his name from the rooftops. And we don't. We're kind of a bit, Jesus, no, not him. People don't like him. But his songs are magnificent. So I wanted to do modern versions of the songs. I wanted to do, just lovely kind of, chilled out, nice relaxed kind of versions, drum grooves and flugelhorns, electric guitars and
your connection to him goes back to like when you were 9, because you were singing his songs as part of the
songs
choir.
I remember thinking, God, this stuff is amazing, but not liking something about it. And it was the arrangements I didn't like. I didn't realise it then. I didn't like the arrangements because they were schmaltzy, and I don't think they were true to what he would have wanted even.
Right, yeah.
Because as I learned all about him, I thought, no, that's not what he meant by that song. There's a song of his at the mid-hour night. Before I went into the vocals, I read about how he'd lost his 5 children died. That predeceased him.
Oh my goodness.
Thinking about that before I went in to sing at the mid-hour of the night
just on a human level.
whole other perspective,
Changed it completely.
But he's such a fascinating guy. He went to live in London. He got a bad review. He challenged the guy to a duel, like a duel to the death with pistols, I mean, personally, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. But that's the kind of character he was. He was an interesting guy, and he's fascinating.
It's lovely to see how passionate you are about him.
Oh, he's amazing. You would be too if you knew about him.
But still about your music, and what fascinated me when I was reading all about you is it's obviously not just vocals, but it's strings, it's keyboards. So you're so multi-talented, and as a result, you have a say in every sort of facet of the music that you create. Can that be your downfall on occasion because you are so in control?
Yeah, I think it can. I think sometimes you can't see the wood from the trees when you get too close to a project. So with this one now, I brought in some amazing musicians. I've got Damon Butcher, who plays, Beautiful South, Everything But the Girl, fabulous piano player. I got Eamon Nolan, like flugelhorn with the concert orchestra.
The Riverdance guys are in there as well.
That's right, yeah. Guy Rickaby, and Katie Malou and all these people, and Owen O'Neill. Chris Rea, driving home for Christmas. We'll be hearing a lot of his bass playing in the next few weeks. But Moving Hearts and all that. So, very eclectic bunch of musicians, got them all together. And then,
it's quite a creative hub anyway.
Yeah, it was.
So it inspires you more.
So I do like doing my own thing, but I love working with other people too.
Yeah.
I do love it.
Let's talk about the work you're doing tonight, because you have a gig tonight in St. Patrick's Cathedral.
St. Patrick's Cathedral, that's
Tell
right.
us what can people expect to see tonight? What's on show tonight?
Well, it's an unusual one. It's the Guinness Choir annual concert. And the Guinness Choir have been around for like years and years.
Amazing.
Fantastic choir. They're conducted by David Milne, really lovely, lovely, great conductor. And I'm doing a guest spot. So I'm doing again something something you'd associate with the Guinness Choir. I'm doing a Curtis Mayfield number. I'm doing a song of mine called Something So Wonderful, kind of gospel-y thing. We're doing a selection of different songs. So really looking forward to that. So it's kind of me with my electric guitar and then the choir. So it's two quite different things.
Gorgeous.
But fusion to me is what gets interesting stuff in music, because everything's been done already.
It is, but it's also what drags new people to it, new ears to it. It drags them
new
in.
Exactly, and that's the thinking behind the album.
Is the
as
album
well.
out now?
Because it's out now, so good Christmas stocking.
And just moving into January, because we're running out of time, but just want to mention that you are heading to Australia on tour in January. So
Stevens' Day.
Stevens' Day.
Good luck.
You're not being kind to yourself. Do you have any time for a bit of a rest at all, Eleanor?
I don't really know.
I just sleep on the plane, it'll be fine.
Sleep on the plane, 22 hours.
Listen, thanks when you're coming in.
It's a pleasure having you in.
Enjoy the gig tonight,
Thank you
and
very
best
much.
luck with the album.
Thanks a million.
Thanks, Eleanor.